We now have our 1-point perspective video for the letters I, J, K, and L. As usual, we start with the horizon line and the vanishing point. Then we're going to draw a box to put our letters inside. Now once again, to make our letters, I am using my finger to measure. I'm using one finger, but you might want to use more. So each time I make a line, I use my finger to make sure that my letter is the same in each area. For my I, I'm going to make the top and the bottom bar. And then in the center of that, I'm going to put my middle bar. Now to make my J, I want to make sure that my J is approximately the same width. So I'll use my finger to measure. And then I'll actually just place my ruler at the exact same place where I made the top bar for the I, so I can ensure that my I and my J are both the same width. I continue to use my finger to measure. And as you can see here, I had to adjust my J a little bit so that it was the proper width. Now as you notice here, I noticed the one arm on my J was a little bit long. Feel free to make adjustments as you go along. Now the K is a tricky letter. And as you see here, I'm starting with the straight bar, and then I'm using my finger to measure, once again, the two legs of that K. I try to line up my ruler so I can make sure that my lines are parallel. And then as you can see, I'm just erasing those inside lines. Now the L may be one of the most simple letters. You can make that straight bar vertical and horizontal. Making sure to use your fingers to measure to make sure it's about the same width as your other letters. Now as you see here, we have our 4 letters, and they are approximately the same size. Now I'm circling those corners that I'm going to make sure to check to go to my vanishing point. As you see here, I'm using a little bit of a funky ruler. You'll be using just a straight ruler. But I'm starting with the top of my letter I. I want to ensure that every corner of that I goes back to that vanishing point. As soon as it hits a letter, though, I stop. I never draw a line through a letter. This corner, as you see, hits the letter right away, so I won't see it at all. Let's check these other corners on this I. This corner goes back to the finishing point, but as soon as I hit that J, I stop that line. Now let's check the corners of our J. Now if you notice these 3 corners at the bottom, I'm checking them but each one hits the J right away, so I don't have to draw any lines there. Now we check these bottom corners. Remember, as soon as I hit that J, I stop my line. None of the other corners on the J go to that vanishing point. Now we're doing the top of the K. Now, as I'm drawing these lines back to the vanishing point, I want to make a note. Yours might look a little bit different than mine here. It will all depend on where your vanishing point is. As you can see on my paper, my vanishing point is slightly to the right. However, if your vanishing point is slightly to the left, you might need to draw different lines to the vanishing point from different corners or edges. This will give you an idea of how it works, but yours might look slightly different than mine. The L is a fairly simple letter. You just need to make sure you get each one of those corners going back to that vanishing point. Now here we are done, all of our letters. Now we're going to cut off all those lines. We're going to cut these letters off, and we're going to erase all these extra lines. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm erasing that original box that I made, so I don't get confused with those box lines. I'm erasing it between each of the front faces of my letters. I'm also erasing the tops of all my lines that go back to the vanishing point. I'm going to cut off my letters. Now this is the tricky part. Whatever is on the front of your letter, it must be the same at the back of your letter. So as you see here, I'm labeling the tops of all my letters. Now I need to check the sides. The sides are the tricky part. Now I, J, K, and L are fairly simple letters, but you need to be careful with the sides. So whatever the front side looks like, so here we have a vertical line. The back side also has to have a vertical line. Even though it's teeny tiny back there, you still need to have it. Now this is the trickiest part. You need to measure the distance of your letter, and then you need to match that on the bottom of your letter. So as you see here, I'm cutting off my sideline to make sure that the bottom part of my letter is the same distance back as the top of my letter. So I'm cutting off that side and the top of the bottom there. Now as you can see, it looks like an I, but it's balanced. Same thing for my J. I've got the top, and the top of the curved part of my J need to be the same distance back. So I'm going to cut that off so it's about the same. That is probably one of the trickiest parts of creating our names in one-point perspective. Now my K here, I've got to deal with that side again. So if you look there, in this case my side is a diagonal line. So at the back of the side also has to be a matching diagonal line. I check my other sides. Make sure whatever kind of line is on the front of your letter, you match it on the back side of that same letter. Now for my L, the front is a vertical straight line. So at the back, I also need a vertical straight line, even though it's really tiny there. We have now completed our 1-point perspective letters I, J, K, and L.